Annastacia Palaszczuk. Thanks so much for your time. We're focusing on MH370 today. Our documentary goes to air tonight, Premier. 4 Queenslanders were on board MH370. Your government, your Attorney General, has been approached to set up an inquest. Are you still considering that?
Oh, look, I'm happy to speak to the Attorney General today about that. It's obviously a very big issue, and of course there are a lot of families right across Australia that were deeply impacted. I think, we still need a lot of answers to it, but of course if the Attorney General, our government, can help in any way, we would be more than happy to do so. Okay, well, we will hope you keep us posted on that. I want to ask you about the coronavirus now. Your state has been hit very hard. Can you put a dollar figure on it yet? We can't at the moment, but what my government has done very quickly is we've responded to the industry. So 2 weeks ago I called all of the industry representatives here to Parliament House. We had people from the tourism sector, from the Gold Coast, from Cairns. We had people from the fishing industry. We had small business operators. We had the universities here. And we listened to them, and we listened to what they wanted us to respond to. So yesterday I was very pleased to announce that my government's putting in over $27 million towards an immediate package to actually help the industry. You've got to remember too, our state is a tourism destination, so we're hit really hard with the Chinese tourists not coming. Of course, international education's been hit. But I think the other issue that people need to be aware of is the tropical rock lobster and the coral trout. I mean, this is the prime time of year, and the mud crabs, where they're actually shipped over to Hong Kong and China. And unfortunately, that's not happening at the moment. So we're doing everything we can to help, but my plea today is that the federal government actually matches our package, or at least puts in some aspects of assistance, because we can't do it alone. I think that coronavirus should be treated just the same way as we would any other natural disaster, where the Commonwealth and the state works together in the best interests of the industry and the people of Queensland. Well, are you getting any support from the federal government at the moment? Oh, look, the Prime Minister has been keeping me up to date with what's happening in terms of the transportation of people. As I said from the very beginning, containment was a very important aspect, and that is what my government's been focused on. But now we need to move on to industry recovery, and we don't know whether it's going to be weeks or months until we start seeing the flow of tourists again. I mean, coronavirus is a very serious issue. I know there's some people that are just saying it's like the flu. Well, it's not just like the flu. It is serious. The containment is a very important issue, but people are hurting. These are real people with real jobs. We're putting in place counselling as well. But if the federal government came to the party, we could do so much more. We could help small business even more. We could, help the tourism sector even more. So all we're doing is asking, please come and help Queensland. Well, these businesses are already hurting, Premier. You need that sooner rather than later, don't you? If this lingers on, you've already put a package forward. If the federal government doesn't match that, where do these businesses end up? Well, I think the businesses know that that we've put we've put money on the table. I mean, $27 million is a lot of money. But I think that if the federal government matched it, it would do so much more for our industry out there. So we also passed a motion in the Queensland Parliament yesterday calling on the federal government to come to the party and help out. The whole Parliament spoke on, most of the people spoke on that motion. It was really important. And I've also written again to the Prime Minister about it. It's a serious issue. We're not asking for too much. I've listened. I've responded. I'm asking the Prime Minister to do the same. Well, recently, on another issue, the federal government has put $4 million towards a feasibility study for the Collinsville power plant. If indeed it is feasible, will you support the construction of that? Oh, well, we haven't seen the details of the feasibility study yet, so let's take it one step at a time. But what I say about energy capacity here in Queensland is this. We have the most efficient coal-fired power station fleet in the nation. It employs hundreds of jobs. And then we also have gas. We're the only state on the East Coast that's actually opening up our gas fields for domestic use. But also too, I've got $20 billion of renewable energy on our books. So Queensland is the energy powerhouse of the nation. So usually the market decides if another coal-fired power station is required, but the feasibility study would have to look at a whole range of impacts, including what impact that would have on the Great Barrier Reef. And I think everybody here knows too that the Great Barrier Reef is not just a national icon, it's an international icon.
Okay, so is there a chance that you could block it as the Premier on environmental grounds?
Oh, well, actually it's federal legislation. So what I'm saying is I'm happy to have a look at the feasibility study, but I don't even have the details of the feasibility study. So let me have a look at those in the first instance. But we're actually supplying the extra capacity of energy into New South Wales and Victoria. And like I said, we already have the most efficient coal-fired power fleet in the nation.
This is about supporting jobs as well, though, in North Queensland. So how do you weigh up the needs, the future of the Great Barrier Reef and supporting those jobs in Queensland? You talk about the market and the market relying on this. So if there's no taxpayer funds, if this is, you know, there's no indemnity and the market can be supported with this,
but we don't know the details. Is it no taxpayer funds? I mean, what we're hearing is that the federal government's looking at paying for it. And if the federal government's looking at paying for it, is this privatisation? Is this getting ready to privatise off our state assets? I mean, we've had a couple of election campaigns very clearly in Queensland where they do not want their assets sold. So I think the federal government should tread very slowly when it comes to this issue.
Yes, you have. The last couple of elections indeed have been all about privatisation. That being said, the economy a huge focus as we move towards October, the next state election in your state. Is Jackie Trad becoming a liability for you?
Look, Jackie's getting on with her job, and as I said in the past, it has had an impact on my government. But everyone is focused on jobs and delivering jobs for Queensland, and that includes regional Queensland.
Will she remain your treasurer?
Well, she's the treasurer. She's heading off to the treasurer's meeting later this week.
So you rule out any reshuffle between now and the election?
Well, I'm not going to deal with hypotheticals. I will deal with each day as it comes, but I'm very happy with my team.
So that's not really a vote of confidence in Jackie Trad if you can't rule out her not being moved on between now and the election.
I support all of my team.
Okay, so the Treasurer will remain Jackie Trad in October going into the election.
Well, the Treasurer is going to the Treasurer's meeting this weekend.
That's just this weekend. There's a couple of months between now and October. Will she be the Treasurer in October?
As I said, I support everybody in my team. I cannot be clearer. I support everybody in my team.
Well, you just said she's going to the Treasurer's meeting this weekend, but will she remain your Treasurer going into the election? It's a yes or no question.
Of course.
Okay, clear. Annastacia Palaszczuk, the Premier, appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, my pleasure.